Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Eliot Chapel. I'm Gary Gray. I'm going to be your liturgist this morning. With me this morning is Reverend Krista Taves, our acting lead minister, who will deliver the message later this morning. We're also joined this morning by Peter Wilson, who's going to be our pastoral care person for today. If you have something you'd like to talk about, Peter will be available after the service. Peter, would you stand? Oh, there you are. Great. If you're visiting us for the first time today, either online or on site, welcome. We're so very glad you've chosen to be with us this morning. If you're here on site, you should have received a guest form when you came in. Please fill it out. Both sides if you have children school age. And drop it in the offertory basket when that goes by. If you didn't get one, I'm sure you can get one from a greeter after the service. If you're with us online, our guest form can be found on the home page on the website. There's a spot to click in the upper right-hand corner. If you're here with us, please join us for coffee after the service in Adams Hall. You just come forward, go to the right, follow the crowd out to Adams Hall. Coffee's at the far end of the room. If you're new or newish, please take a blue cup and we'll be sure to welcome you. If you're with us online, our Zoom coffee hour is at 12:30. If you send an email to welcome@eliotchapel.org, we'll send you a link so you can join us. I do want to remind you all that there will be a meeting after service this morning, 11:15 here in the sanctuary. As you have heard, read, and probably know, we're going to go back to two services beginning in January, and we want to talk about some of the details that will best serve all of us as we make that transition. Eliot Chapel is a liberal religious community where we welcome all in the fullness of who you are. Whatever your race, your religious background, your age, class, gender expression, your ability or sexual orientation, you are welcome here. Some of our core values are love, equity, justice, and transformation. Welcome to Eliot Chapel. It's a joy to be together. In the Universalist tradition, we light a chalice. Let's not light the chapel. We light a chalice to symbolize that we have entered sacred space. Blessed is the fire that burns deep in our soul. It is the flame of the human spirit touched into being by the mystery of life. It is the fire of reason, the fire of compassion, the fire of community, the fire of justice, the fire of faith. It is the fire of love burning deep in the human heart, the divine glow in every life. And now please rise as you're willing and able and join me in our opening hymn. Where do we come from? It's number 1003 in the hymnal.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm going to use my teacher voice this morning. So, this song obviously, has 4 sections. We'll do section 1, section 2, section 3, and 4 is those in the balcony of the choir. Okay? Welcome.
Good morning. I'm Sarah Fleming. I am the current chair of the Board of Trustees. I will be leading us in the Congregational Covenant this morning, but first I wanted to give you an update on our fundraising campaign. Hopefully you've seen the correspondence about the fundraiser that is currently going on. With the budget that was passed in May, in addition to the amount that everyone pledged in the canvas, we were also hoping to raise $20,000 at the end of this calendar year. I am pleased to report that as of Friday morning, we have raised $18,233. You guys are awesome. And we still have 2 weeks to go. So it is looking pretty good that we're going to make the $20,000 mark, if not more. Churches are expensive to run, especially now that we're going to be moving to 2 services. There's going to be more costs involved. So if we can surpass the $20,000, that would be amazing. Hopefully you also saw that there is a special gift tied to this fundraiser. We have a beautiful Eliot ornament that was designed and printed by one of our members, Ahmed Eldorat, that will go to the first 100 people who donate at least $100. So of the contributions that we've already received, there will be 65 households who will be getting this ornament. That means there's still 35 people who can get one. So if you haven't already contributed, get your donations in soon and you still have a chance to get this beautiful gift. And for those of you who've already given, we're going to have a table set up in Adams Hall so you can take your ornament home today. So I just want to thank everybody for everything everyone's doing to build up this energy and enthusiasm and true sense of community. Now, let us recite the Congregational Covenant that is printed in our order of service. As a free congregation, we promise to one another our mutual trust and support. To create a beloved community, we promise to be kinder to each other than we have to be. To listen fully to each other with an open mind and heart. To speak responsibly and respectfully. To find ways to improve our church for all members and friends.
Good morning. Good morning. So good to see all of you. Just a second, there we go. So this month, we are focusing on the theme of mystery. And it's a good month for mystery because we are in a season when all kinds of wondrous things happen in the important stories of Christianity, Judaism, and paganism. The understanding of mystery in these stories is that mysteries are something that we can't understand and can't explain. There is something unknowable and very special and reverential about them. But there's another way of looking at mystery, and that's the understanding of mystery as a puzzle to be solved. Maybe something bad or scary has happened and you want to figure out why. That's that kind of mystery, like a mystery novel or a mystery series. Today's story is a mystery story, but the question is, what kind of mystery is it? The answer is not entirely clear. I'm joined by Stephen Harvey to tell this story. It's called Grandpa's Teeth by Rod Clement.
All right.
Whoa.
Right.
That doesn't work.
This will work. Yeah, maybe a little too low. Okay. It's all right. It's good. It's good. It's all right. All right. Okay. All right. All right. Help! I've been robbed!
We heard Grandpa shouting.
It's a disaster! Come quickly!
Mom, Agatha, and I ran up the stairs.
What was taken?
Asked Mom.
Was it your DVD player, your TV, your golf trophy? No, it's much more serious. My teeth! My teeth have been stolen!
Grandpa usually kept his teeth in a glass of water by the bed, and the glass was there, but the teeth were missing.
You didn't swallow them by mistake, did you?
Grandpa answered,
Of course not! The teeth were special, handmade by the finest Swedish craftsman. I may never speak the same again.
Mom said,
Did you look under the bed, behind the cabinet, in the drawers? Yes, I looked everywhere.
So Mom called the police. Officer Rate looked very grave.
We've done a thorough search of the house, sir, and found nothing, no clues. How the thief got in and out without being seen is a mystery. Can you give us a description of the stolen articles, please? Could you smile, please?
Officer Rate grinned widely.
They look just like those.
Officer Rate took us down to the station. The police drew a picture of the missing teeth. They put up posters all over town. Officer Rate rounded up many suspects with no teeth. They even brought in our unfriendly neighbor, Mrs. Carbuncle, because her own teeth didn't fit. All were asked to smile. Grandpa didn't recognize any of their teeth. And after several days, Officer Rate admitted that no thief had been found and no new clues were uncovered. But Grandpa still suspected everyone, especially someone who did not smile. Soon the whole town was smiling at him, so they didn't turn into suspects. Mom even got a call from the TV show Unsolved Crimes. They came to the house in a helicopter so we could reenact the whole thing. And when Grandpa was interviewed, he asked the reporter, "Pearl White?"
Can I borrow some of your teeth, lady? You got more than enough.
She said no. My dad called Sweden to see how much a new set of teeth would cost. He was so shocked, he dropped the phone.
The only way we can afford new teeth would be to sell the house.
Grandpa answered,
Who needs a new house anyway? It doesn't help to chew your food.
Officer Rate had no new clues. People left teeth in the mailbox, but none of them fit. People began locking their doors at night, imagining a teeth thief on the loose. The only way to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the teeth in your mouth were your own was to smile at every person you met. Anyone who didn't smile was dragged off to the police department for questioning. People even began smiling at funerals. And tourists, seeing the endless sea of smiling faces, were too scared to get out of their cars. The mayor called an emergency meeting. The town hall was full. Speaker after speaker complained about the loss of customers and the constant strain of smiling all day. And the local pastor summed up the situation.
This has to end. We have to replace the teeth. All the excessive smiling is just unsettling. If every person here could put $1 or $2 in the collection plate tonight, we could buy 2 new sets of teeth and be free of this suffering.
Most people put in $1. Others put in 2. And in a few weeks, the teeth were delivered from Sweden. At the presentation ceremony, Grandpa opened the package and revealed 2 sets of new teeth. And the mayor asked,
Why are there 2 different sizes? Only one of them is for me. The other is for Meredith Carbuncle. Her teeth never fit properly, and she has such a pretty smile.
Grandpa was very happy with his teeth. So was Mrs. Carbuncle. They smiled so much that even Grandpa's old dog smiled too, for the first time ever. The end. So what kind of mystery was that? Was that a mystery where there are things that are unknowable? Or there is a mystery in things that can be solved? Honestly, it was neither and both. And that's what we're exploring today in our service. Will we please sing the children to their classes? I invite you now, as you are willing and able, to join me in a meditation on mystery. It is a guided meditation, and so I invite you to decide whether this is something that you would like to do or not. I don't make everybody do guided meditations. I think that's not very Unitarian. You have to make your own decision, but it will be a guided meditation by Reverend Dr. Rebecca Savage. It's called Meditation on Mystery. So make sure you're seated comfortably, feet on the floor or however you are most comfortable, hands on your lap if you wish, eyes open, eyes closed, whatever helps to center you into this space. This time of meditation is an invitation to arrive fully to this moment. Cast off that which does not serve you in this time. Unfurl your shoulders. Breathe into this space. Quiet your inner chatter. Be here, right here, with beloveds near and far, in this shared moment of serenity and calm. I invite you now on a journey inward. If you feel comfortable, you are welcome to close your eyes and still your body. In your mind's eye, imagine the immediate space around you where you may be resting. What is around your body, over your head, below you? Appreciate the colors, textures, and feel of this place. Recall the memories associated with what and who may be around you. Who has been here before? What may have happened in this space? With grace and gratitude, send loving kindness to all that this space means to you and others. Next, imagine the wider community around this place, the other buildings, homes, parks, structures, whatever may be around you in the larger sense. Appreciate and connect with the idea of that larger space, of who is there and what happens in that wider community. With compassion and thanks, send kind regards outward. Next, imagine the expansiveness of our planet, the many people, languages, cultures, animals, plants, and fauna of our shared home, this interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. Run your imagination across the fields, the oceans, the forests of these lands, recalling the generations of people and animals that have called this planet home for thousands of years. Hold in your care all that has ever been in our world with wonder and gratitude for this day. Next, expand your mind's eye across the vastness of the universe, the known and the unknown, the planets, stars, and galaxies that exist far outside even our imagination. Let your spirit touch the mysteries of the beyond, the mystery of the universe, the mystery of that which we may never truly know or understand. With reverence and astonishment, may that sense of mystery continue to immerse us in the unfolding journey of life. Let us enter into a time of silence for our own engagement with that sense of mystery. Into this space, let us speak the names of those we would hold in care. May we come back to this present moment with the enchantment of the beyond, bringing us a greater sense of peace, a greater sense of connection and interconnection to ourselves, each other, and all that shall ever be. May we arrive back together, blessed by the journey beyond and within. Amen. I invite you to stay seated for our meditative hymn, which is number 83, Winds Be Still.
For many years, on every Sunday, we share half our offering with an organization in the community whose work reflects our shared values. This is one way we try to care for and support our community and our neighbors. In December, we'll be sharing our offering with Room at the Inn. Eliot Chapel was one of the supporting congregations when Room at the Inn was founded over 30 years ago. Originally, we and other churches provided overnight space for clients to stay and sleep, and we provided evening and breakfast meals. Then came the pandemic. Churches were closed, and Room at the Inn was forced to to set up an overnight system to serve their clients. And this required them to do things off-site. They're now in the midst of a capital campaign to raise money to bring that all back into their building and take care of their clients that way. Working with congregations of many faiths and others throughout the St. Louis region, Room at the Inn provides emergency shelter and a stabilizing support system to homeless women and families to help them into a home of their own and equip them not to become homeless again. Room at the Inn still holds a special place in our hearts, and we are proud to continue supporting them. Let us be good neighbors and generous people as we receive the offering. Now, would you please join me in a dedication of holy gifts?
We have two short readings this morning, one by Mary Oliver and one by David Reineck. First, Mary Oliver. Let me keep my distance always from those who think they have the answers. Let me keep company always with those who say, "Look," and laugh in astonishment and bow their heads. David Reineck. In a true encounter with another human being, we come face to face with the mystery of life. In some way, every other person, no matter how well we know them, will remain as mysterious to us as a country across the ocean we only read about in books. In every interaction, Whether it is with a stranger or our longtime partner, we can be surprised by what we have not yet seen or even imagined. Thus end the readings. Thank you, choir. Thank you, David. Thank you, Nadia. Now, you may be wondering, what in the world was she thinking when she chose that wisdom story? It's a question I asked myself many times this week, but something kept drawing me back. Here we have a man who has clearly been harmed. His precious teeth are gone, and that's a big deal because it is how he communicates with the world, with people that he loves. So how that happened is a mystery that everyone wants to solve, if only so they get to stop smiling all the time. But really, he just needs his teeth. And how is this going to be made right? After a while, that becomes the real puzzle. The teeth aren't coming back. How they disappeared will always be a mystery. What do we do in the face of a mystery that refuses to be solved? When I was a child, I was a die-hard fan of Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys, which was a super popular mystery series in the last half of the 20th century. And doesn't it feel old to say that? And being a child of the 70s, I got Nancy Drew and my brothers got the Hardy Boys, which I never got, and I read them all. And what drew me is that you always knew they would figure it out in the end. Something curious or scary or confusing would happen, and then they would look for clues. And eventually the clues would lead you to an answer. And this meant that I could take in all the twists and turns of the plot and not get so anxious, because I knew it was going to be okay. And truly that is what kids need for the first years of their lives, a sense that most things can be discovered, most things can be answered, mostly things are worked out. But part of what it means to grow up is that you start to learn that there aren't always answers to questions, and hopefully you've built enough confidence and trust in yourself that answers without questions won't shake you too badly. And instead of being frustrated and afraid, you might have curiosity, or you might have a feeling of wonder or reverence. Inevitably, kids always start asking questions that we can't answer. In fact, that's why some of you are here. Your kid may have started asking questions that you don't have answers for. Those large existential questions like, why was I born? Why can't I remember when I was in your belly? Where did I come from? What does life mean? Does my dog have a soul? Why do we have to die? My friend says there's a God, and I'm supposed to believe in that God. Can you tell me about God? And when your kids start asking these big questions, and some of us just don't know how to answer, and we realize that we need help, we need support. And I've heard people say to me like, hey, I need a community where my kid can come with their questions, and they won't be given pat answers and asked to believe things that I can't believe in. My family needs a community where questions are welcomed, where no one's shamed for not having an answer or not having the right answer, and where we're okay with not always having the answers at all. I need a place that can handle some mystery with grace and curiosity, and maybe even with some reverence. Our spiritual theme for December is mystery. And isn't that a good timing? Because this is a month filled with religious and secular stories that draw us into mystery. In Hanukkah, the Jewish army beats back the mighty Greek army, and the temple flame burns for 8 days, even though there is only enough oil for one. How does that happen? It's a mystery. In Christianity, an angel visits a virgin and tells her she is pregnant, and when her child is born, angels and wise men appear. How does that happen? It's a mystery. In paganism, ancients believed that the sun literally turned its face away from us, and they celebrated the return of its warming light. How did it come back? In their minds, that was a mystery. And in Kwanzaa, African Americans reverence and celebrate their culture, and that it has survived and even thrived when so much would have eliminated it and them. How did that happen? It's a mystery. And things at the North Pole are hopping. Rudolph is shining his nose. The reindeer are practicing their flying techniques. The elves are packing the sled. Mrs. Claus is baking cookies so Santa can fit into his large suit, which he's getting back from the dry cleaners. It is a season of mystery, of things that cannot be explained. And yet many religions around us do try to explain the mysteries completely. There are branches in every faith tradition that want everything to be certain and believe that their sacred stories are literal. And some of us come from these traditions. Some of us were hurt by these traditions. In Unitarian Universalism, we intentionally leave a lot of room for the unknown. We call ourselves to cultivate the qualities that allow us to be okay with not knowing everything, especially when it comes to those existential questions. We actually sometimes find comfort in reveling in the mystery. Excuse me. But just because we intentionally leave room doesn't mean that it's easy. Leaving room for mystery means letting go of some control and accepting that our frames of reference are limited. And sometimes, in our faith, we've gotten into big disagreements over what can be known and what can't be known. So it's not like we're these great masters of living into mystery. In fact, I would say that given the demographic makeup that is most common among Unitarian Universalists, which is educated white middle class, many of us have a lot of privilege and exercise what seems like a lot of autonomy in our lives. Having control, having the answers can seem like a birthright. And this is one of the ways that our congregations can be unwelcoming to those of you who come from a different life experience. I am certain that there are those of you here today who had to struggle to feel like you belonged here. Maybe you still are. So what I'm saying is that being able to relinquish some of the certainty we believe we are owed in life, being able to approach mystery and make room for those things that have no explanation, no final answer, that ask only for our awe and reverence, is a way to be more welcoming and a way to breathe into the diversity that we say we are and yearn to be. Did you know that both strands of our heritage, Unitarian and Universalist, started with definitive proclamations that offered answers to the mysteries of their day? Both of them were offering a type of certainty that is not so much what we do today, but it's where we started. And today I want to tell you about a part of our Universalist heritage that might help us understand what happens inside us when we are struggling between the need to know, understand, and define, and the need to live into the unknowable mysteries of the universe, our lives here on earth, and the times in which we live. So we're going way back to the 1700s in Britain, where the dissenting church movement took hold. Now, the dissenting church movement, they were Protestants who challenged the theology and authority of the Church of England, known as the Anglican Church, here known as the Episcopal Church. In this time, the Church of England was the only church. It was the state church, and it was very dangerous to separate from it. It was very dangerous to be a dissenter. And we started, our Universalist heritage started in those dissenting roots. And if you were a dissenter, you were seen as a threat to the monarch, a threat to the empire, a threat to the church. Well, a dissenter named James Relly was starting to make trouble with his ideas. And the belief he challenged is that your conduct here on earth determined whether you went to heaven or hell when you died. He believed that there was a mystical union between all people, past, present, and future, that lived in the person of Adam, the first man created by God in the book of Genesis. So when Adam sinned by eating the apple, we all sinned, even though we didn't exist yet. So far, he's not so different from the most traditional Christians who see this as original sin. But then Relly took it all apart. He also believed that the mystical union continued in Jesus. And when Jesus was crucified, he paid the price for all sins, past, present, and future, because he embodied all of us. We all died with him, even those of us who were not yet born. So being saved wasn't about believing that Jesus died for our sins, because the price was already paid through all of us in him. So there was no hell, only heaven. And this message took off. And a dissenter named John Murray was converted, and he started preaching it to massive crowds. But like lots of dissenters, Murray kept getting arrested. And finally, he was done with being afraid, done with being always under the microscope, and super done with spending time in filthy jails. So he went to New York in 1770, and he learned that Universalist ideas were also popping up here. And when people learned that he was a Universalist preacher, they asked him to keep preaching. And he formed the first Universalist church of Philadelphia, very first Universalist church in our country. And his message kept growing and growing until there was an official Universalist denomination separate from other denominations. But the interesting thing about early Universalism is that even for this idea that all sin had been resolved in the crucifixion, there were still people who couldn't completely do away with the idea of punishment. If there were sins that you hadn't repented for when you died, what happened? They proposed that you went to kind of a shadowy, semi-purgatory place until you got to a place of true repentance, and that's when you got to heaven. So everyone got there, just not necessarily like right when you died. But then along comes a man named Hosea Ballou who said, hey, hold on. Why does God need punishment at all? This whole idea of Jesus paying the price? No. Hosea Ballou believed that Jesus died because the world was bad, not because God needed his suffering to forgive us. And because God doesn't need suffering for us to be saved. That's just making God into an abusive parent. So wherever you are in terms of repenting for any harm you've done, it's good enough. Case closed. Welcome to heaven. And lots of Universalists loved this idea, but others did not. The ones who believed in that halfway hell called themselves restorationists. The ones who said, you're dead, you're in, they called themselves the death and glory Universalists. So you've got the restorationists and the death and glory Universalists. And the restorationists were the majority, and they tried to shut down death and glory, but it didn't work, and death and glory just got stronger, and this led to the first major divide in Universalism in 1830. What a bunch of words, restoration, death and glory, you know? And for a while, the death and glory Universalists won the day. And many of the restorationists left Universalism and went to Unitarianism. But that didn't work out so well, because Unitarians were upper class, and Universalists were working class or farmers, and were looked down upon by the Unitarians as not being good enough for them. So over time, the restorationists found their way back into Universalism, and then for a while, they gained ground in Universalism, and back and forth. Death and glory restorationists, death and glory restorationists. Now you may be wondering, why are we supposed to care about this? Right? We aren't worried at all about this anymore. Most of us aren't Christian, and even if we were, we're not spending our days wondering about what happens when we die. It's a mystery. It's up to your personal conscience to engage that question. We don't tell you what happens. It's up to you. And then we move on, and we focus on the heavens and hells on this earth. I want to explore this story of the Restorationists and the glory death people through the lens of mystery. When I look at this question that our ancestors based their whole faith on, of how sin is ultimately resolved, the divisions between the Restorationists and the death and glory folks was about how much you need to define the undefinable and how much mystery you can live with. Think about it. The Restorationists really needed the assurance that all sin had consequences, and those consequences were some kind of suffering. So they were a bit like the grandfather in our story who still had a need to make everyone smile to prove that they were innocent. Anyone could have unresolved sin left inside them that they needed to restore in order to be reconciled to God. And the Restorationists tapped into something that is universal in human beings for as long as we've known, and that is the value of fairness. It didn't seem fair to people who had lived good lives if those who didn't live good lives got to go to the same place right away. Where's the justice? So the Restorationists took this universal need for fairness and created an elaborate theological system to explain how fairness was achieved on the other side of death. There was less room for mystery, less room for acceptance, less room for the unexplainable, and even less room for trust. Think about how the trust eroded in that town when everyone who didn't smile was a suspect. Right? If you still need punishment to achieve fairness, it belies a level of distrust that the good really isn't as strong as the bad. The death and glory folks had more room for the unexplainable, more room for things that were unresolved. Yes, people did bad things. Yes, sometimes they got away with it. Yes, accountability is important. Yes, it seems unfair when injustice isn't stopped. But at a certain point, there is only so much we can know. We are not called to keep score. Each human thought, each human heart is a mystery where so much is happening that it is truly amazing. It is unfathomable. We can't know exactly how things are made right and reconciled. At some point, we have to accept that we won't ever know and that we are called to give in to the mystery. There is strength and freedom in knowing what is ours to do and when it is time to let go and time to be. And even though we are now a post-Christian faith, the expansiveness that the death and glory universalists invited into their faith is a legacy that we now carry on in the way we live our ever-evolving pluralist faith tradition. So, when your kids come asking those existential questions, don't feel like you have to give an answer. There's no right answer. What your kids want to know is, where do you place yourself between that thin line, that fine line between what can be known and what is mystery? That's what your kids want to know. So invite yourself, invite your child to enter into those questions and into the mystery that the questions evoke. Give yourself, give the child some space to live into the unknowable. Let us close with the words of Mary Oliver. Let me keep my distance always from those who think they have the answers. Let me keep company always with those who say, look, and laugh in astonishment and bow their heads. May it be so. Please rise as you do for our closing hymn, number 126, Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing. Our closing words are by Kent Nerburn. When all the words have been written and all the phrases have been spoken, the great mystery of life will still remain. No amount of searching will ever reveal for certain whether we are all children of chance or part of a great design. And who among us would have it otherwise? We extinguish the chalice, but not the flame of love, truth, and wisdom. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please be seated for one final musical gift. Thank you for coming this beautiful morning. Remember, there's a congregational conversation here at 11:15 about moving to 2 services in January. Get yourself something, a beverage from Adams Hall, and come right back here. See you next week. Go in peace.